Welcome back to COVID-19 Franchise Leaders Respond. I'm your host, Red Boswell, president of IFPG. We are joined today by a great friend, Mr. Jeff Dudan. Jeff, welcome to today's call.
Hey, Red, excited to be here.
So if you don't know Jeff, you're not in franchising. Jeff is a great friend. He and I met first, man, I don't know if it was a decade ago or so. We were at a CFE class on, what's the legal, what do you call it?
Probably FranGuard.
FranGuard. Oh, that's a tough one. That was not my favorite class in the CFE program, but certainly critical. And man, he just sat there and shared his wisdom left and right. Now I wondered, who is this young whippersnapper we got here with us? He's got a future in franchising. Little did I know he was the CEO and owner, founder, he and his family of Advanta Clean, and now he has got a whole bunch of brands. I hope he shares a little bit with us about them. Today's purpose of the call is to glean some wisdom of what Jeff and FranDevCo and his many awesome brands are doing to help their franchisees, to help their team's employees, their franchisees' employees, and just share best practices during this crazy time we're all in together. Jeff, how are you and your family doing?
So appreciate that, Red. I hope you guys are doing well. Our family is doing extremely well during this difficult time. I have two college-age children. I have one at Elon who's graduating, who is now going to miss their commencement. And then I have a freshman at Clemson. So those two are home, and we have a 15-year-old. So we live on a small little mini farm. So we've been, for the first time in a long time, we worked outside this weekend and got some long overdue chores done, and we've been eating together as a family. So I've heard that as a common theme, that people have gotten around the table again and actually talked. And so I think, there's always a silver lining in every crisis. You should never let a crisis go to waste. There's always something to learn or something to get out of it.
There is, and boy, are we learning a lot right now. Thank you for sharing. Great to hear you're safe and healthy and making the most of a tough situation. How about, let's start with, to give perspective, help us understand what organizations you oversee and that you work with. Let's start with FranDevCo.
Okay, I appreciate that. So FranDevCo is an outsourced franchise sales organization. And what's exciting about that is that we get to work with now nearly a dozen brands that are looking to work and improve their franchise development. So what I like to do is I identify as a franchisor. So my piece in it is not only working with the franchise development, great talent that we bring on to help people find prospects and do awards, but I get to work with the founders and the owners of the brands and kind of help them see around corners and really act like a coach to them. So we have brands like RockBox and Mobot, and we have a Village Juice, and we have Native Ceuticals, and a whole bunch of other brands, Strickland Automotive, all across the spectrum. And we're very excited about our brands. So that's what we are doowing there.
Well, we're excited about learning from you and all that your brands are doing. We get a unique perspective from Jeff. Yesterday I zierviewed Brent Dowling with Raintree, lots of brands they represent, and then was able to interview Ryan Zink with Fastlane. So you guys really bring a cool perspective, because it's not, there's nothing wrong with just one brand, but you guys have, as you just mentioned, about a dozen. So help us understand, Jeff, what is FranDevCo and some of your brands? What are you doing? How are you doing, first of all, from a brand perspective, and then share some of the best practices of what they're doing to help their organizations?
Absolutely looking to share that with you. I don't want to leave Kitchen Solvers out, another one of our FranDevCo brands. But so when it comes to leadership in a crisis, right, you really have to get back to the fundamentals and kind of like, what do you stand on? Because what I like to do, and in my previous brand, Advanta Clean, we're a national brand with 230 locations. We responded to disasters. So it's kind of in our DNA to take a situation and say, okay, what does it look like? What do we want the outcome to be? So for us, the first thing is we want to be transparent. So as a franchisor, you want to be transparent, and you want people to feel like you're being honest with them through this, that you're not withholding information, but yet you're responsibly sharing information. We've been on a couple of webinars around the stimulus plan. And, if they have an expert on that's a CPA that's getting Cliff Notes from Cliff Notes, and they didn't read the bill themselves. We've heard some misinformation coming out about stimulus. So make sure that you and your franchisees are getting the information from the source, and that you're actually reading the bill, and you don't want people to take action on erroneous information. So do your homework on things like that. So you want to make sure you're providing great information. And then you want to make sure that people think you're treating them fair. Like, we're all having to make difficult choices right now. We're looking at the stimulus. How real is the stimulus going to be? How much relief is it going to be? And then what position do we take with our membership if we're in a member type franchise, our landlords, our leases, our vendors, our partners, right? Because at the end of this day, at the end of it, at some day this is going to be over. And you want to retain the relationships that you had before this through it. So you don't want to take a stressful reaction or damage a relationship through this. So everybody's working through the same thing. So really, trying to be transparent, trying to be fair, and then also trying to make sure that you realize that at the end of this, that you're going to have as much relationship equity to try to help everyone come through it. So those are the things that we're doing. And then being a voice of calm in the storm is important. And, and especially for franchise networks, that's been kind of our tact, is like those fundamentals. And then from there, we start to make decisions.
So Jeff, I meant to mention this a moment ago, but so I'm going to mention it now. You achieved one of my life goals and wrote an incredible book, Hey Coach. I read that from start to finish and in a very short time, and loved it. It was very relatable. Thank you for putting that out there for us. Any leader, franchising or otherwise, would benefit from checking out Hey Coach by Jeff Dudan. Thank you for doing that. And also, in my decade or two in franchising, I've looked at a few thousand franchise opportunities, and the one I probably got closer to than any in actual buying was Mobot. So I've visited your office right there and loved it. Very impressive. What are you seeing with that brand and your others from a franchisee standpoint? Are they struggling? Certainly some are. Are any thriving? Help us understand a bigger picture of how your brands are doing through this.
Right. So it depends on the brand, and it depends on whether it's an essential service or not. So Mobot is actually doing very well. From the perspective of franchise development, we've got more interest right now in Mobot than we had before this. So I think as people transition from work at work to work at home, now they've got set up and you're on your computer, and people are taking time to investigate franchise opportunities. So I really encourage brands to stay the course with their development. And that's gone real well. And actually, our brand RockBox as well. Leads did dip for just a few days. Now leads are back up and are above the levels where they were before. I think more people have time to invest in the discovery process. So that is, you never know what's going to happen, and you never know how the general population is going to react. But that's been a pleasant surprise, I think, for all of us on the development side anyway.
Right. Wow. And okay, maybe any technology that you guys or any of the brands are using to better communicate, to support, any big pivots that you can share there?
Well, I think a lot of the fitness concepts in particular were able to go online relatively quickly, and a crisis will accelerate a trend. So there was already a trend for people preparing to provide in-home workouts. Now, I can tell you that trying to do the in-home workouts versus going to the studio, as soon as that studios are open, I'm going back, right? Because it is a better experience. However, RockBox in particular, we were able to deliver live daily workouts almost immediately. And then we've invested some additional technology where we can have up to 1,000 people on a workout simultaneously at a time through a Zoom call. We're rolling that out this week. So we've got about 25% of our membership that's participating daily in our online and our remote offerings, and it has really helped us maintain membership. For those people that have wanted to freeze their membership or hardship, maybe they're struggling a little bit, we've absolutely honored the relationship with the member to do what was in their best interest. But a lot of people have said, look, we want you to be there when we get back, and we're taking advantage of this stuff. So they've maintained their membership. I will talk a little bit about technology at the franchisor level. And I think and this is a mistake that I see, especially emerging brands make, is that they don't take a kind of a remote and redundant view of their operations. And being in the disaster restoration industry for 25 years with AdvantaClean, it was always top of mind because we would see companies that would be have a fire or a flood or something would happen to them, and immediately, were they prepared to operate remotely or weren't they? So all of our companies immediately, we have a protocol where we can operate if something lands on our building in Huntersville, North Carolina, that we are not interrupted whatsoever. So whether that's things as simple as Dropbox, having your Zoom accounts up and being able to do remote meetings, where is your data, and having laptops that are networked in properly and backed up and can plug in everywhere, using some of the very commonly available technologies. But you'd be surprised how many companies go to Best Buy and buy this machine and they've got data on one machine that's not anywhere else, and then when something like this happens, it really interrupts their flow of their business. So focus on being able to, if you had to move your business immediately overnight and be open somewhere else tomorrow, like what are the things that are getting in your way? And I would be proactive about those things.
Buddy, that is good message. I'm totally guilty of that. As a Zor, we had to transition. My CIO, respectfully lost his mind, and he started going a little bit crazy on us, and we could not get some of our data, and it was a nightmare. And so having the redundancy would have saved us enormous heartache. And we weren't even going through a pandemic. It was just a transition from one employee to the next. You never know what could happen with certainly key employees. So regarding your franchisees, and you've got a lot of brands with a lot of franchisees, mostly emerging, but in various stages of growth, any stories of triumph, any successes, any best practices from a franchisee level that you can share?
So I think going back to the fundamentals, people that engaged their client base proactively, and real simple things like, so for example, the first thing we would ask a client when they would call AdvantaClean for an emergency call was not like, what's the address or who's your insurance company? It's like, is everybody okay? Right? So the first thing you need to do is like, why not take a couple extra minutes when you're reaching out to your client to just see how they're doing and check in with them. Again, they're going to look back at this after this is all over, and they're going to remember how they were treated during this time, whether it was hard contract, money grab, or whether it was empathy, and we understand that we're all in this together. So those are our franchise owners that have taken that tact and that have really been proactive in getting the right message to their staff and their team so that they could have these conversations in the right way. The difference is night and day as to how much attrition they're having and how their customers are supporting them or choosing not to support them. So really, it's not what you're saying, it's how you say it. So don't overlook that as we're all sharpening our pencils and trying to figure out which bills we defer and how we do that. The other thing is Feeding America. So one out of every 7 people in the United States has food uncertainty in their life. And, with the coaching book, the children and families are a passion for me and everything that we've ever done with our relationship with St. Jude. But what happened is people went out and started realizing that they were going to have to take care of their families. The support to the food banks stopped immediately and their shelves became empty. And a lot of children get their meals from school. And then when the schools closed down, their best meal of the day was taken away from them. Now their parents don't have childcare, and then they were ultimately maybe furloughed or put out of work. And it created an immediate need with food banks and families that rely on some sort of support for their weekly meals. So feedingamerica.org is probably the leader in food bank support. There's over 200 food banks. There's one near you, I guarantee it. If you're not comfortable going out and dropping off food, you can get online and just make a simple donation, and they have people able to deliver food to them with the money that you give them. So a lot of our franchise owners and the various brands got behind that, and I have to believe that it made a difference. And so that would be something. Again, it's not what happens to you; it's how you react to it. And I think that showing leadership and doing the best that you can during this crisis. Look, I'm on probably 7 or 8 conference calls or joint calls a day, and I'm telling you, people are down. I mean, like you can hear it.
Yeah.
And it depends on who they are and what's impacting them, but people are definitely impacted by this in a negative way. So doing something positive and where they're focusing on helping other people is something that can really kind of get people, give their spirit a little jump start and a kick start and get them back, thinking the right way. Because I mean, ultimately, there's plenty of food in this country. There really is. And we're not going to run short, and we're all going to eat. But we just have to be able to get it to the people that can't logistically get to it in the way that they used to before this. So, this will pass, and we're going to get through this. And for a lot of companies are going to come out of this stronger, because you're going to now see where we had stress cracks as organizations, and you're going to be able to improve your organizations as a result of these challenges. And so that's the approach, right? Adapt, overcome, and take care of your people.
Thank you, Jeff. Very wise words there. I just pulled up Feeding America, the easy website, feedingamerica.org. .org if you're looking for the food bank closest to you. Thank you for that. And man, you touched on another important topic. So many people are hurting and scared, and these are folks in franchising. Could you imagine not being in franchising? The terror they may have. And you've heard there's kind of 2 titles to this series. One, of course, COVID-19 Franchise Leaders Respond. And the tagline that we've been using is #Franchising Stronger Together. This series is just proof of the benevolence and the selflessness of incredible leaders like you, who are very busy. I know how busy you were working this into your schedule, and yet you made time to share and to give back. And many times competitors will hear this and benefit from it, and you don't care. You want to bless. So thank you for that. Man. Well, as we go through these uncharted waters, Jeff, any additional, you've given so much, I'm just going back to the well for more. Any other advice or stories of encouragement that you can share with franchisors and business owners and Z's out there?
Let's see. Well, I tell you, I think that, you touched on franchising, and I'm just a huge proponent of the franchise model. And it's, it's times like this when you see that there is strength in numbers and the power of the group. And there are so many industries that have become very heavily franchised. And I think it's for good reason. I think it's a great business model for people to be able to have a hand in their own destiny, to take control of their own life, and to really, it can be transitional. It can be somebody's first business, and they can put their back to it for 3 or 5 or 7 or 10 years, and then they can have a great opportunity to sell that business, and they made money along the way. So I think this is a time when people are going to realize that franchising is even more viable option, and that standing together, we are stronger. I entered franchising knowing absolutely nothing, and the people that I met and the mentors that helped along the way, John Rachi and those types of people, you just can't say enough about the type of people that stepped up and just said, we'll take you under our wing, we'll show you the ropes, and if you can contribute to the group, then it'll give you back more than you would ever have hoped for. And that's been the case. So that where we are now, or where I am, is I really want to find a place where I can share whatever it is I've learned, and for people that want to take it and run with it, that they can benefit from it and they can build their businesses and their dreams, just like we did with Advanically, and we're doing with these brands today. And it's there's really 3 things that we really care about, on a daily basis. We have a little group called Dudan Partners, which my brother, who was the CFO of the Carolina Panthers, he retired from there and joined me. And we're a franchisee now in models. So we believe in the model so much that we're a franchisee, and we're helping franchisors. But we care about freedom through entrepreneurship, which is the franchise model. We care about employee ascension, because great people, great teams giving discretionary effort is going to build powerful organizations. And then we care about children's and family issues. So If we're touching all three of those things in anything that we're doing, then like we know we're over the target, and we're going to be living a fulfilled life, and we're going to be helping others finding a way and to help them live a fulfilled life too. So that's what we're about, man. And you know, I check those three boxes. And if I'm coaching an employee or working with a franchise owner, or you know, doing something to help children and families, then like we are all over it. And that's what franchising is about. It is about those things.
Absolutely. You touched on an important topic we haven't heard in this series, is the idea of mentoring and finding someone that is kind of where you want to be, and having the courage and the humility enough to approach them. One of my best friends, Josh Wall, approached me a couple of years ago and gave me the greatest compliment ever by asking me to be his mentor, and I turned around and said, only if you'll be mine, you know. And together we learn from one another. I approached a gentleman, a past IFA chair, and he was kind enough to meet with and mentor me on occasion, and I've been so blessed by it. So it sounds like you're encouraging folks on this to look around and see who maybe they can go deeper with and learn from on a one-to-one, even throw in some accountability from a business standpoint. Great message, Jeff.
Yeah, I will say that, you know, Rory O'Dwyer had Puro Clean, and John Rocci had Ducks, and Charlie Chase had Paul Davis Systems. And, you know, we were direct competitors to what we were doing in AdvantaClean. And guess what? They ended up being the ones that reached out first. So I think that's the message in franchising is, you know, we're friendly competitors, but we're all aligned in building this business model that is the franchise business model, working with the IFA and, you know, companies like IFPG to really, you know, give back to the industry and protect and support this industry that's helped us all so much.
You know, that reminded me too, John Rocci's book, Reach, outstanding book. I
Right.
learned, and the example he used of approaching a pseudo competitor in Service Brands International, and man, they were so caring. Just pulled them under their wing. Use one of our offices. Let us help you. And ultimately, there was a combining of forces and an acquisition involved there, and giving and sharing and being benevolent, which is the franchising way. Both organizations grew astronomically through that.
Yep. David McKinnon, another great franchisor mentor.
Amen. Thank you. Jeff Dudan. Jeff, I don't want to cut you off early, brother, but I know you got a lot to do, and you've shared so much already. Thank you for your time today. Jeff Dudan, Dudan Partners, FranDevCo, lots of killer brands.
Joining us. Can I get a book plug?
Bring it. Oh, yeah.
I got a new book coming out. So new book coming out. It is called Discernment, and it is the business athlete's regimen for a great life through better decisions. And that is what it's about. I've been working on it for about a year, and it's going to be out here this spring. And so really excited about sharing life lessons and how quality of decisions impacts the quality of your life, and a lot of great tidbits in there. So look for it, Discernment.
You got a date yet?
Hopefully, you know what? I've gotten really busy here lately. So
yeah.
I got to wrap up a couple of things, but hopefully it should be out in May.
Let's get it on Audible too, baby. That'll send it to the roof. Yeah.
Yep. Will you read it for me?
I will. Yeah. I'll give a testimony. Hey.
All right.
Discernment. Looking forward to it. I'll be first in line.
Thanks, Red.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you more than you know. Thanks, guys, for joining COVID-19 Franchise Leaders Respond. A true franchise leader, Jeff Dudan, shares with us lots of nuggets of gold and best practices. See you on the next call. Thanks. Be blessed. Franchising stronger together is the hashtag. Red Boswell. Thank you.